Hello, everyone. Hello and welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome to Materials for the Arts, our favorite destination for free materials and for chances to meet some fantastic artists like we are this evening. So I'm John, and I'm the gallery director and education director here. And every month we have some kind of an activity where we invite the public to Materials for the Arts on the third Thursday in the evening. So you're welcome to come back again. And tonight we're so excited to welcome Person, Place, Thing, and Machine Dazzle to Materials for the Arts. Materials for the Arts is this fantastic place where we gather materials that are perhaps going to be thrown out. Maybe they don't have a need anymore in our community, and we redonate them to artists and to teachers and community centers. And it's a fantastic way to help the environment and make art supplies possible. But we always want to showcase the artists that use these materials. And Machine Dazzle is one of those artists that has made fantastic use of our Materials for the Arts supplies. So I first want to tell you a little bit about Person, Place, Thing, and Randy Cohen, our host this evening. So Randy Cohen is a writer known for his work in the New York Times Magazine, the New Yorker, Harper's, the Atlantic, and Young Love Comics, as well as his work for Late Night with David Letterman and Michael Moore's TV Nation. His show, Person, Place, Thing, which we will experience tonight, engages famous writers, actors, performers, artists, thinkers, and creatives in intimate conversations as they discuss one person, one place, and one thing that's important. So tonight, Randy will be introducing Machine Dazzle, costume and set designer who's been dazzling stages across New York City. We're also proud to say, like I mentioned, that Machine is a very avid Materials for the Arts shopper. So Machine, just to tell you a little bit about, has collaborated with artists, Julie Atlas Muse, Big Art Group, Justin Vivian Bond, Taylor Mack, Chris Tanner, Sumi Kim, Pig Iron Theater, Bombay Ricky, and has designed projects for Opera, Philadelphia, and Spiegelberg. Machine Dazzle's work has been exhibited at Parsons School of Design in New York City, and he contributed to memorable camp-themed looks for Diane von Furstenberg and Cara Delevingne at the 2019 Met Gala. In 2017, Machine received a Bessie Award for Outstanding Visual Design and was the winner of the American Theater Wing's Hughes Design Award for his work in 24 decades of history of popular music. His work for the Hang has been recognized with the 2022 Drama Desk Award nomination for Best Costumes for a Musical. And coming up, the Museum of Arts and Design will present a solo exhibition showcasing Machine Dazzle's costumes and creations opening September 10th. One more thing to keep on your calendar. This fall, Machine Dazzle will release his first album, Treasure, and will perform songs from the record at New York City's Joe's Pub on October 21st at 7 p.m. With that, I'm thrilled to welcome Randy Cohen.
This is the John mentioned the format. I think people are much more interested when they speak about things they care about rather than directly about themselves. And that's the format we'll use tonight. It's the format we use every night, and we have to get new business. Machine will talk about one person, one place, and one thing that he has strong feelings about. There'll be Q&A at the end, so you can get those questions. And what else? Oh, we're recording for radio, so the no cursing will be listening. Sick about it. I don't want to look at you when I say. Certainly not. Certainly not. John, you're listening more than we want to. This woman will not curse. I think that's it. That's all I got. So join me in welcoming Machine Dazzle. Yeah, what's it?
Hi.
Yeah, you want to keep that about a fist away. I want to keep everything a fist away.
Hashtag same.
Yeah. So, Machine, by the way, it was impossible to dress for this. It's like you're having a great chef over for dinner. What are you going to do? Nothing. Nothing. I'm already humiliated. And thank you. Good night.
I appreciate everything. Absolutely. I'm not judgy that way. No, I swear.
Well,
I know it appears, it might seem that I am that way, but I'm not. I mean, I have friends in the back row, and I'm not going to judge them.
Okay. So, who's your person?
Who's my person? So, first of all, this was like very person, place, thing. If I get to choose one person, one place, one thing. And so I was immediately like, oh my God. I've been thinking about someone recently. Her name is Carol Lipnick. Does anybody here know Carol Lipnick? Oh, my friends in the back, judgy. So I met Carol back in the year 2000. She was an usher at Alice Tully Hall, and I got hired as the green room guard. I had come back into the country. I was traveling in India for a year, and I was broke, and I needed a job. And I had a friend who was like the house manager. It's like, hey, the money is shitty, but I got hired. And so
why is there a green room guard? Is it the people at the Met, they steal stuff like crazy?
So it's more like there's this funny little room that's upstairs from where the audience comes in, and it's this funny little room, and people who know that that's where you greet the artist afterwards. And so I'm up there in this like tuxedo thing with a piece of paper, like this, with names that the artist has given that are allowed backstage. Sometimes they don't give me a page. You can imagine how problematic this might become, because there are people who are very entitled who think they're supposed to go backstage. I'm like, well, your name isn't on the list. Do they know you? It's anyway.
Did you ever have to throw anyone out?
That wasn't my job, even though I was always the biggest person around. No, I never had to throw anyone out. I never got that heated. Not at Lincoln Center. It's.
I admire her calm. So back to Carol.
Back to Carol. So, like I said, she was an usher, and I was the green room guard, and we were instant friends. She's quirky, she's interesting, she's fun. And then I learned, that she's an artist. She's a musician. And I was like, wow. And I went to one of her shows, and I was like, wow, she's so interesting. She's so quirky. So she was born and raised in Coney Island. And so she has this interesting way about just like who she is. It's almost like that weird quirkiness, that carnival, that circus. It's just ingrained. It's just in her blood almost.
This is are you referring to the mermaid parade?
Well, that's okay. What's funny you mentioned that, but yes, in fact, the very first mermaid parade I ever went to was with Carol.
I thought that was your first mermaid.
I know.
We all remember our first mermaid.
Yeah, and that was in 2001. And what was I doing? I was dressed up, I can't quite remember. I think I was dressed as a flock of seagulls. And I went with her, and I was helping her hand out cards for her show. It's like, and this is actually before I knew her music. I don't know. I love the Mermaid Parade, and she kind of is like the mermaid. She has like the long red hair. She's like the singing mermaid. She's a siren, and there was, there was like kinship because I'm a mermaid, because my mother was a Pisces, my father is a Virgo. So fish and virgins together make mermaids. And me and my brothers are mermaids. It's like you should know.
But we should establish that Carol's, is it fair to call her a cabaret singer? That's not too
She performs in cabaret spaces like Pangea and Joe's Pub. So it's cabaret-esque, but I think she lays off the commentary. She's really more of a beautiful singer. And once you go to a Carol Lipnick concert, you're hooked. There's something very transcendent. You're probably gonna cry. And it's like she takes amazing, first of all, well, she sings, she writes her own music. She writes her own songs. She has accompanist, but she also, she covers a lot of interesting songs. And we have there's some overlap there. We're interested in the same kinds of music. Every time she covers a song, it's like, God, I love this song. Oh, I love this song. She's covering this song. So, it's always, I don't know, chemistry when you like the same music with somebody else.
Well, can you be really good friends with someone if you hate their taste in music?
That is up for debate. I don't know if I want to hang around someone if I don't like them. You know what? No, I think that might be a game changer for me. I have to at least appreciate her. Like, I want to listen to it. If I really can't stand it, no, I don't want to. No, I think music is that way. I'm pretty open-minded though. I put out things for audience. No, I'm speaking from experience. I'm speaking from experience. Does anyone in the audience know what I'm talking about? Do you just put up with someone else's music just because?
No.
Right. I don't know. Music is a very personal thing, and I'm very musical.
But does it say something about what they're like as a person? Even if they never imposed it on you, if they like what you hate, you couldn't possibly be a really intimate.
Look, there are two things I'm going to say. There's no accounting for taste. And I hate it when people say that because I don't believe it. I do think you account for taste. I'm sorry. I don't know where the hell that came from. I'm like, hello, yes, you account for taste. Sorry, it is part of who you are. And maybe I'm judging you right now. No, I'm just kidding. But no, you find chemistry with someone, magnets come together, they're attracted. That happens for a reason. It's like, if you might have opposite tastes in music, how are you going to get along? Music is such a glue, I find. It fills the space when you're not talking.
But even when the music is off, you're still there with the person who likes fill in the blank, something you hate. And if they never play you a single record, they're still the person who likes that stuff. And they're how can you be friends with them?
I know.
Is that what we're saying? Because it reflects their sensibility.
What's that, that saying, and I've heard different versions of this. It's like, you can take the girl out of the cheap underwear, but you can't take the cheap underwear out of the girl. She's just there to be cheap. No, I know that sounded, I don't know. Look, I'm just saying, I've heard that in different ways. Like, you can take the boy out of Jersey, but you can't take the Jersey out of the boy. For better or worse, I'm just saying that some things are innate. Some people, you grow up with it. We're raised a certain way. And, those things stick with you. Carol, you're so inspiring. Carol, when she hears this.
So music is one of those things.
Yes.
But there must be things where your friends are very different from you, and that difference is kind of fun. Like, they don't have to like the same food you like.
Sure.
They have to apparently like the same underwear.
Well, I'm pretty open with the underwear. Depending on the friend, the underwear doesn't matter because it comes off eventually. And you don't normally, sit with your friends in your underwear. I don't know, maybe you do, but I generally don't. It depends on my friends.
You're again so broad-minded for such a narrow-minded guy.
I'm so narrow.
Hey, when you met Carol and she was this usher, and then the first time you went and heard her sing, that must have been pretty striking. I mean, she has quite a voice.
She has an amazing voice. She's like practically operatic. But then she'll sing these interesting quirky songs about, the two-headed calf, which is one of my favorite songs of hers, which is really a song about, it's a very short song and it's very beautiful. And I think it starts, the night sky, tomorrow they'll take this freak of nature, wrap it in newspaper and take it to the museum, but tonight it's in the north field with its mother looking at the sky. And then at the end of the song, she says, there are twice as many stars because there are two heads. But it's like, stuff like that. It's like, it's magical. And that's a song. She makes me cry when she sings that song.
It's pretty great.
It's gorgeous. Yeah.
She studied, am I right that she studied when she was a young person? She didn't go to the music school, she studied art.
I believe she went to Pratt.
Yeah.
She's an artist. I've been to her apartment and she's beautiful works of art on the wall that she painted. It's like, wow, that was another discovery.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, multifaceted musician, artist. I mean, they're connected. I mean, I think I'm the same.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about is sensibility is more important than the particular way in which you express that sensibility. You can reject this idea if you want.
Well, no, sensibility is sensibility. I mean, how you choose to do it is, well, that's a choice. I mean, I think it matters. I do think it matters. I don't know, you can't hide things. Or you can, but only for so long. Things that are coming out eventually, somehow. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense, sure. But her studying art, there seems this whole class of musicians who studied art, like a whole lot of the British pop bands in the 60s. They were art students. Wasn't Paul and George, weren't they art students, not music students? David Byrne, another art student.
Yeah, I mean, there were a lot of them went to school, a lot of them dropped out and they became musicians. I don't know that about David Byrne, actually. I do love David Byrne. Funny you mention it, one of the songs that Carol covers is called Heaven by David Byrne, or The Talking Heads, I should say. And let's see, the opening line is, everyone's trying to get to the bar, the name of the bar is Heaven. It's such a beautiful song. Does anyone know that song? Such a gorgeous song. And anyway, Carol's version is just so beautiful.
Yeah, she's just a lovely voice too. It was like four octave range.
Something like that.
And I know in many ways the technique is not the central issue here, but that she has this technique.
Carol has natural ability, and she's trained. Funny, Carol and I have the same voice coach, Barbara Mayer-Gustern, who passed earlier this year. And I remember Barbara speaking to Carol's voice about how it was such a delicate instrument. And it's a very powerful, when you meet a powerful singer, at the end of the day, that's a very delicate instrument. You really, really take care of it when you have such an exquisite voice. And I've always been in awe of that. Yeah. And music is just magic. It kind of comes out of nowhere. Music is like invisible, and it's just an amazing collaboration when people come together and make music. It's just like it's like a miracle. It's magic. And me personally, as a designer, people often ask me like who my favorite costume designers are, whatever. I'm like, I don't have any. I don't look to costume designers for inspiration. I actually look to music. When I hear a song that I resonate with, I see shapes and I just start making things. Music is what inspires me to make physical things.
Well, usually we have one musical show, but I know you have an album coming out. And so we're between segments. And so in lieu of live music, we thought we'd give you just a taste of the forthcoming album. So we'll take a moment and we'll be right back.
Yeah. I don't know which one they're going to do first, but yeah, these are like, they're not rough, but they're still not finished. Everything's still being mixed. So yeah.
Sure. Let's hear a little.
Oh. This song is called Misfortunes Desire. It's about my coming out experience. Motionless on the floor, I stand guilty of neglecting her. All the way to me is begging shadow louder. Smile waxing as the sun goes down, singing in silence for so long. Clock ticks, you're going to know my name. Mother, I want to be this object of desire. A walking dream, a phoenix, lips on fire. That girl in her underwear, strange fingers running through her hair. That girl, she don't care, she's a millionaire. Strange reflection in the perfume air.
Machine Dazzle.
On the 21st of October, it'll be louder and in your face. So something I didn't mention about Carol is she's singing backup vocals on my album.
Wow.
In at least half of the songs. And there's another backup singer, Jeff Fuller, who's also a crazy musical genius. So two backup singers, like an operatic one and like this amazing, I don't know where Jack comes from, but it's amazing.
Well, we'll track Jack down and I'll get a complete report to you. So where's your place?
My place, I don't want this to start being redundant. So, okay, the place is Viva's basement. And
The famous discount clothing store.
yeah, how did you know? Is that where you got your outfit today?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Viva. So my good friend Viva DiConcini, I was her roommate for several years. This is in Prospect Heights, and we lived on the ground floor. She owned the building that we lived in. So we're on the ground floor, we have a garden in the back, and of course there's a basement underneath. Viva is a musician. She is a percussionist. She's an electric guitarist. She has her own band called Viva, and she's played in other bands. She plays with Taylor Mack. She plays with Christine. She's played with Paprika. She's played with a lot of people, and we became really, really great friends. And she kind of helped me come out of my music closet, and she decided she was offered to be my music director if I wanted to make music. And so she's the music director of my album, and she plays the electric guitar on it and some other instruments on it. So this basement was right under my bedroom, and the basement was turned into a rehearsal space, which she allowed for friends to use. And a lot of the tenants in the building ended up being musicians, and I would hear them from percussionists. I'm trying to remember. Oh, no, I won't say it. I was going to name drop.
Now you have to say.
Okay, well, Esperanza Spalding lived in our building, and she would rehearse down there. And also, she lived right above us, so I'd hear her on top, and I would hear her down below too. Anyway, all these amazing, mostly Brooklyn-based musicians would rehearse in the basement, and I would just lay in my bed. And I mean, a lot of people would probably be annoyed by it, but I felt very comforted by it. I would lay there and just listen to it. It didn't matter if it was electric guitar, it didn't matter if it was jazz, rock, screaming, like percussionist. There was this girl who lived on the top floor. She was a major percussionist, and it got loud, but just the rhythms and like listening to her like do her thing was like, wow, it's just like magic. Music is comforting, you know, even if I don't like it. Music is comforting. But the nerve that, you know, just so the Viva's Basement is where I first started rehearsing my original songs, and Viva helped me do it. I would sing, I knew the words and I knew the melodies, so I would sing everything into the microphone. She would follow me on the guitar, acoustic at first, find the chords, like make the charts, distribute it to the band. We all got together, and then it just, that's also another like magic element of music, is you get together and you make it together. That basement was just a place where I could, you know, scream, I could sing to myself, I could dream, and I could make those dreams a reality with Viva's help. And so it just, I don't know, became kind of a sanctuary. Also, Viva's Basement was a temporary storage unit for a lot of my costumes and drag at the time.
So it's a chance to develop as an artist and store your craft.
Yeah, I mean, look, if you knew if an artist like me needs storage. I mean, I know queens who are cleaning out their drag closet on the regular. Meanwhile, I have to keep this shit around so that I can have museum shows.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that part of the appeal of music? It's not physical, it's not corporeal. It's just in the air. You don't have to schlep a lot of stuff.
You know, that is one of the beauties. Now, if you play a large instrument, you do get tired about that. And plus, and if you're, you know, when you do gigs, it's like sometimes you are lugging monitors around, a lot of gear. I mean, sometimes you go to a club and they have all of that stuff, but they don't always. So sometimes it's a schlep. I mean, I do have friends who, you know, they play the upright bass. That's a large instrument. And if that club doesn't have like a bass line, like for like a drum kit and everything, and like lugging all the kits around, the drums, you know, that gets, but of course I'm always willing to help. All I have to do is bring my outfit and my voice and my memory. I mean, if I'm lucky, I don't bring my lyrics with me, but you know, depending on what the night before was, you know, sometimes I have to pull up a lyric.
Well, both your person and your place relate to music. Do you feel like if you had it, that's your first, where your heart really lies? Give up all this stuff?
It's probably the reason why I do everything else that I do. I think that costume and set design and art direction and lighting design is all related. To me, it surrounds what is really amazing to me, which is usually music.
Which is music. So you're gonna, I see it, you're gonna fit, leave all this costume stuff behind you. When your album comes out, your album will do well.
Well,
what about our needs?
No, I mean, look, there's a lot. I'm 6'5", long legs, brunette, blue eyes, Capricorn, Virgo rising, moon in Scorpio. There's plenty of me to go around. You'll have to talk to my agent about the rest. I know. No, they're really not agents. They're producing partners, and they're amazing. Pomegranate Arts. They take good care of me. Yeah, they're helping me with my career.
It's good to have a career.
It's good to have one, and it's good to have someone helping you, because it's a lot. Actually, I should have an assistant, and I don't. People offer to help me in my studio. I know, but it's like it's all like situational. This person wanted to help me 6 months ago. I'm in a different space now, and so we're there. You know, like things happen. That happens all the time.
Do you make them give you a song list of their favorite songs before that?
No, I just have them show me their underwear.
That's a customer. That's fine.
This isn't gonna go on the radio. I'll get in trouble.
You won't get in trouble. But people love you. I love you. I'm a person.
What's your underwear situation?
It's just, well, look what I'm dressed. It's so sad. You said that that music was comforting, but there's some music is, but there's also music that's exciting.
Yeah.
You're not ruling that out, are you?
Oh, no. I'm not talking about comforting like meditative music. I'm talking about, no, someone would be doing like a loud rock concert underneath me while I'm like laying there in my bed, and that is comforting. Yeah. Oh no, I'm not talking about elevator music.
Well, I mean,
Nothing else is
elevator,
soothing
but
like
there's
that.
some music that is soothing. Music has charms that soothe the savage breast. So
Absolutely.
I'm told.
Yes.
And that's a lovely thing. But
It
there are
is.
many different things music can do, and you're not ruling those out.
No. I mentioned what I mentioned. We didn't mention the rest.
Oh, okay.
We could talk about only music and forget about person, place, or thing.
No,
But we've
of course.
already done person and place.
So
So
we're
I mean, we
sort
might
of
as well
set
continue with
Yeah, no,
that.
we'll continue.
But yeah, I'm going to talk about all of the things that music is capable of,
Um,
which is an infinite amount. I mean, it's like
Oh, okay.
endless possibilities.
Yes.
Like I say, music is very personal. And it's magical, it gets in there, gets into your brain. Once you've heard it, you can't unhear it. It changes you.
Yes,
It does.
yes.
What, for better or for worse?
Yeah, for better. There's songs I wish I'd never heard, and there are people I wish I'd never met. Because they changed me, and it's not so good.
Yeah, hey, life happens, right?
You seem to have really enjoyed having roommates. And there are people who would say, like, once you're out of college, once you're an adult, you never want to have roommates again. But you've really enjoyed it.
Look, in my New York career, I've had my share of great ones and not great ones. And I cherish the great ones, and the not great ones, I hope I never fucking see them again. Yeah, and that's only two people.
Do you want to give us their names?
I have blocked their names out, but I will say that one of them is a real treat. She makes up, get this, and I am not kidding. She is the kind of person who makes up imaginary people and imaginary profiles online. I've seen her do it, and she's good at it. No, she finds random people, random pictures of people, and like she creates entire fake profiles of these people online. And I'm like, this bitch is fucking psychotic. She's a bad person. And no, she's one of the people that it did not end well with her. And you should have seen how gross she left the room after she moved out. I'm not going to mention what I found. If you've ever experienced anything like this, then you know. That was like, wait. Oh, but leaving that apartment led me to Viva. So that was the apartment I lived in before I moved in with Viva. So
It was great. It was a great experience.
silver lining. Yeah.
Well, people talk about basement bands and garage bands, and basements and garages are where other kinds of innovation take place. And New York has a serious basement shortage. You were really lucky to be in a building. How many of you are in buildings with basements? I'm not. I just live in an ordinary, sort of 1, 2, 3. 3 people out of 40. 4 people out of 40. You were privileged to have a basement where innovation takes place.
Every building I've ever lived in had a basement. East Village, Brooklyn, West Village, Harlem, they all have basements.
Well, we have a.
Wait. How many people have basements here? Like, not you personally, in your building.
Oh, a whole building? Oh, well, my building is a basement.
Oh, you mean a basement that was privy to myself.
We're a band
Like,
night.
we're a band night,
Where you
yes,
could
no.
say, I have a song and it's
Yes.
half formed and a chance to work it out and discover what it can be.
Privilege with big hair,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah. No, that is lucky. I mean, mostly a basement is either, empty and gross, or it's like filled with a bunch of crap. And it's always like humid and, I was lucky that basement for those 6 years was a rehearsal space.
We're lucky because so often bands come from towns where everybody has a basement or garage. They practiced and then they moved to New York. And it's because it's essentially an architectural thing. Because of our basement shortage. When you were really young.
Right. Well, it's not a business for Viva. I mean, she just lets people rehearse there. She made it into one for herself. It's not legal for it to be a business adventure, but it's just she made it into a rehearsal space for herself and her friends, which just makes it even better.
Sounds great.
Yeah, on her because she's the landlord on the leases. When someone comes in, that like there's a clause. It's like there will be rock and rock-like music. I swear to God, that's in the clause. So you're not allowed. It's on your lease. You're not allowed to complain about it.
I like that.
Pretty unique, I think.
She made a distinction between rock-like music.
Rock
Lots of people
and
try to
rock
use that
like
to
music.
beat the leaks.
Yeah. I mean,
That's very
a
pretty.
lot of. I mean, our friend Christine rehearses down there. Do you know who that is? Christine. I mean, look up Christine, then you'll know. You'll know what I'm talking about. Like, stuff like that, screaming, crazy shit.
Great. Should we hear another track? A little taste. of
We
another track?
can. I know we didn't even. Then we're going to come back and listen to the thing.
And then we're going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Let's take a moment and hear another track.
The way you talk to me, I long to hear you in my sleep. This is called Treasure. It's the title track. The way you stare at me, I start to see you seriously. Your eyes sink into me, I feel exposed and happily. The way you talk to me, I want to hear you in my sleep. Your voice sinks into me, my ears explode harmoniously. I wish you kissed me, yeah. I wish you wanted it. We could walk on water. If I was a fantasy. The way you smile at me, my face lights up for all to see. Your love, it warms my soul. My heart's on fire, a burning pool. The way that you hold me, I want to stay there permanently. Your body keeps me strong, wanting to teach me right from wrong. I wish you kissed me again. I wish you wanted it. We could fly forever, baby. I was a fantasy. These songs are still being mixed, and the last time I heard them, so I'm listening, and I know that I'm listening on that sound system and not in, so I'm kind of like, I already have notes. I'm like, wait, what happened to that thing? And like, wait, where's the harmony? And like, anyway,
But it's
I'm
tricky.
working, and I can't,
I remember the first time I was in this recording studio where they had a tiny little speaker on top of the mixing board. And they said, oh, that's so we know what it's like when people hear it in their car. Before cars had decent audio.
Yeah.
And do you mix to that? Do you mix to this? Do you mix to an ideal thing? It's really challenging.
It is challenging because you mix it a certain way that you want to hear it, but then you're gonna hear it in a store, in a club, in a place that doesn't have the same sound system. So it's hard to be foolproof about that. And if it's a DJ, they're gonna mess with it anyway.
To hear it in a store, though, that
Oh
would be
my
like,
God.
that's pretty dreamy.
That would be special. There I
Don't you
am
think?
buying my ice cream sandwiches during the heat wave, and that treasure comes on. and the way you melt on me. Oh, God, I wish you would melt on me. It's hot.
Fabulous.
So, just so you know, that song is
Yeah.
like, so that whole album is about my mother. Songs related to my mother and our relationship and that kind of thing. And except that song is not, that song is about someone who came up to me after years of stalking me and admitted that he was stalking me. And then we became friends, and then I became romantically interested in him because he's really good looking, and then nothing ever happened. Just so you know, I swear to God, that's what that song is about. Anyway, you never know.
But as stalker stories go, that's a pretty happy.
But normally a stalker, well, he was a good stalker. He was a stalker I didn't know. Someone who really stalks you doesn't really let you know. It's only when you find out, and then like the creep factor. And if they're like, if you're not attracted to them all, then that's when it becomes creepy.
So your advice for the young stalkers out there is to be really good looking.
Well, be attractive to who you're stalking at all costs. I mean, but then again, you never know why someone's stalking you. I learned later that this person is actually fascinated by my artist self, not my, I don't want to say that my artist self is not the same thing as my real self, but it's different admiring something or someone on stage. That's a different person when you're off stage. They are two different things. Otherwise, I would be dressed up tonight, or I'd be performing. I'm actually just being real. That makes sense. And there's a big difference, actually.
Yeah,
When you're,
they go to sleep with Rita Hayworth and they wake up with me.
Isn't that, that's
It's good. It wasn't Rita Hayworth. I'm screwing it up. Does someone know the actual one? Because it was a character she played, and that was her lament. I'm sorry. All right, so redeem us. What's your thing?
My thing. So I learned something about my thing tonight. So a little backstory before the elf comes up. So I was recently, I don't know, was it like 3 months ago, maybe? I was here at Materials for the Arts shopping for a project, and I found this amazing object. And Kathy, would you like to bring the object? I'm so excited about this object. Everyone, this is Kathy Mull. And Kathy Mull was working here during the pandemic, and you don't really work here anymore, but I see you here occasionally. And Kathy's become an amazing friend, and is one of my helpers in my studio. We make costumes together, and everything. Kathy is like this amazing veteran on the Broadway scene in the wardrobe department. She's met all these people and has her own stories. And
some other time.
Some other
time. But in the meantime, let's take a look at this.
let's take a look. So
You have to describe it vividly for
Okay,
people who are hearing it on the radio.
So I was shopping, for materials here, and I'm just like, I turned around, and right there on a pile of all of this stuff was this sculpture, and I was like, oh my God, I don't know. She really spoke to me. There's something that I find really beautiful about her. And I haven't looked at my notes this whole time, but let me just make sure because I'm totes profesh, But I don't want to So I took her and I'm like, I don't know what I'm gonna do with her. Normally, when you're shopping here at Materials for the Arts, which I just have to mention, by the way, is like the most important resource for artists in New York City. shopping. We call it shopping. I've been visiting Materials for the Arts since the 90s. I was working for a nonprofit art space called Exit Art, the First World. I first there in 1995, 96, 97, and the directors there, Papa Colo and Jeanette Ingerman, were incredible people and totally changed everything. They changed the trajectory of my art career. They taught me what art is and what its purpose is. That and going to Jackie 60 every Tuesday. Anyway, no, Exit Art, Jackie 60, I'm telling you, they formed my career. Anyway, so I've had this amazing relationship with Exit Art, and excuse me, with Materials for the Arts. And I don't know, I'm just so grateful to have this resource as an artist, because you get hired for a gig and there's no budget, or it's a low budget, or there's a whatever. And then thank God for Materials for the Arts. Anyway, so there I was. And I was shopping, mostly like fabric. Most people know me for my costumes. And so there I was looking for chiffon or tulle or whatever else, anything interesting, something that stands out, something that I can use, maybe something that lasts, depending on, there are one-time costumes, and then there's like costumes that get worn 100 times. And it does make a difference in how I make things. Like you can make a paper outfit if it's only one performance. You can't use paper if they keep using it. It's just, you have to think practically. I am pragmatic. Anyway, so there was Mary, and Mary ended up in my cart, and I was like, I don't know what something tells me I just called her Mary because I started calling her Mary. Her name is Mary. And I've decided I came up with her gender, I came up with her name, and she sits in my studio. I currently have a studio at the Museum of Arts and Design, which is in Columbus Circle. I have a studio on the 6th floor in preparation for my exhibit, which opens on September 10th. The show is called Queer Maximism, Machine Dazzle. And I don't have like a proper window in my studio. It's like this stretch of small windows close to the top of the ceiling. And there's this little like shelf there. And so I put Mary up there, and she's kind of my emotional security sculpture. And I figure, if people can have, emotional like security animals, I can have an emotional security.
So describe her for the radio.
Mary is, I'd say she's about 1.5 feet tall. She's paper mache. I don't know. Okay, well, so something is happening in front of the audience tonight. Tonight, I found out who made Mary, but we're not going to go there yet. The person who made Mary is actually in the audience tonight, and you recognize her. But hold on, but I think let me just tell you what I was going to say first, because Mary, so I didn't know anything about it. It's a sculpture. I wasn't sure if it is someone, if it's an imaginary person, but I've realized that when I look at her, I can ask Mary things, and I'm basically getting the answer that I already know. It's kind of like looking in the mirror. I think we've all done this. You ask yourself the question, you already know the answer. Sometimes you like the answer, sometimes you don't. It's like, Mary, should I really go through with this? And she just has a way of like, yes, bitch, you need to go through with this. It's going to be okay. Tomorrow's another day. All of this. I mean, she's never said the word bitch to me. I was projecting. But I will say that, but it's a lesson in, everything is a mirror. You get back what you project in people, in situations, in life. Anyway, I look at her face, and there's something very peaceful and understanding about it. She is relatively unfinished. You have this face with good amount of definition. The eyes are drawn on with pencil, they're not painted, the lips are painted, the hair is kind of painted. There are no hands, but there's a representation of a torso. And I love how perfectly imperfect she is, and it reminds me about, well, just thinking about when you're on the right path, every moment of that path is a perfect thing. You know, it's really is about the journey. It's not about, you know, yes, the beginning. It's not about like the end where, you know, we all know what's coming in the end. It's about the journey and living every day like that. So she just reminds me that every moment is perfect and you are where you are and this is where you are. You want to change it? It's up to you to change it. I don't have to ask myself in the mirror if I need to change something. I already know. Anyway, so like I said, paper mache, unfinished, just something just beautifully perfect about her. And she is up high on the shelf and she looks over me while I'm having fittings, while I'm making things, while I'm sitting there not doing anything. If I'm on a Zoom, if I'm on the phone, she hears everything. What was I going to say about that?
Well,
Anyway.
so you never know who made it. You just spoke to, you
So
brought home.
I was
You just found out tonight?
I just found out tonight that because of Kathy Mull who came up. Now I do know that Kathy put out feelers. It's like, does anyone know where this sculpture came from? And wouldn't you believe it? So I named her Mary. And then there's someone who works here named Maria, made it and donated it to the center. And this is Maria right here. Because we can, will you just tell me a little bit about her?
It's an angel that I started waiting for a friend that has a little girl that has 5 different conditions. So, you know, it's that very sad situation in the family. So I started making with an angel. But I'm surprised. I'm just crying because I named her Mary and my name is Maria. So I'm like, no.
True story.
I made the the wings and everything. Then my daughter said, "Mom, I love that. I want that for me." So I was like, in that I don't want to give it to my daughter because I made it for my friend's daughter. So I keep it over there for like 2 years. And then one day I said, I take it to my daughter for the arts. Yeah, somebody gonna take it up. So I'm surprised today when I saw it, I said, hey, I made that. You know, it's a picture. And also, it's a piggy bank. You know, Kathy was like, I don't believe it. Something in your heart that is, I'm sure now more than ever that always when you do something in your heart, always you touch other people's lives. So thank you so much.
We're better ready to
I
that
think I
segment.
need some more wine.
You'll take some questions.
That really just happened. I'm just telling you, that just happened. I just found out tonight that, I mean, how amazing is that story?
It's fantastic.
Oh.
You'll take some questions?
Um,
Once you compose yourself?
Sure.
Do you want to
yeah,
know?
yeah. Oh, thanks, Kathy. My elf.
All right, questions? Yeah.
When you're designing sets, what really start? Do you have a specific starting point or place?
So a set is, so this does sound basic and obvious, but so you are, you have to consider what the story is. Where are we, right? And I'm not talking about, so there's the insider and then there's like the outsider. It's like There's something that's in the script, and then there is what is experienced by the audience. And to me, those are two very different things. So I am an audience. I love an audience. I design for an audience. The person on stage might like be completely uncomfortable. They might hate their surroundings, but I know that the audience is going to like this. I start with the subject matter. What's the story? But how can I queer it a little bit, and how can I change it? I don't like things to be too obvious. For example, the last set that I built was for Taylor Mack and Matt Ray's The Hang, which was at Here. And it was a story about Socrates, and right after he drank the hemlock. And in the script, we were in nature. And originally, I was like, oh, I want to cover the space in olive. I want them to be in nature, like trees and whatever. I mean, if we were really in nature at an outdoor theater, that's different. But I have to tell you something, there is nothing sadder than trying to replicate nature inside of a black box theater. You just can't really do it. It's always sad. Fake trees look sad inside a theater. I've never, even at the Met Opera, the cream of the crop, no, they've never, I'm not convinced. So you do other things. And so I was like, well, let's go back to that hemlock. So I was like, we are inside this dark place. Let's go inside of Socrates' body. So the set for that was inside of Socrates' body after he drank the hemlock. And so I had these things there was this huge thing, it looked like a rib cage going across the ceiling. Everything was mushy. And there were things, it's is that a heart? Are those lungs? What is it? But it's kind of going deep inside the human body. It's kind of going into outer space or deep sea diving. It's everything becomes weird and alien and strange. So that's what I mean by queering it and doing something that's not completely obvious. Yeah, and there was everything was soft. There was a lot of red. I try not to be too obvious. But yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So I'm a big fan of Taylor Mack, so I guess that means I've been a big fan of yours without realizing it.
How far back are we going?
Well, I saw The Hang recently,
Okay.
and I saw Andronicus when it came on stage, and I never remember the names of them. But I was wondering how you met him and how that collaboration started, and what liberties he gives you, which apparently are a lot.
I have a very special relationship with Taylor. And Taylor himself will tell you, Machine doesn't tell me how to do my job, and I don't tell him how to do his job. And I get to do whatever I want. Taylor never tells me what to do. Normally, you find yourself in a certain situation, and that has its own boundaries, quote unquote. But when it's a bunch of queerdos in the room, it's anything. Everything is everything. Anyway, so I met Taylor. I'm going to say we were definitely both here, in the mid-90s. I don't remember meeting Taylor until the early 2000s, kind of right after the whole Bush thing and the Iraqi invasion, and we were protesting in the streets. And this is post 9/11. No, I met Taylor Mack before 9/11, but things were funny then, but things got worse after. I was part of a dance group, performance group, activist group called the Dazzle Dancers. I say dance group because we danced and we had fun. I say activist because this is after Giuliani had kind of closed a lot of fun places, queer spaces, places where you could be naked, and all of a sudden that was so. I was part of a group of dancers who stripped because we have bodies. So I was a stripper. I covered my body in glitter. And with all these other, we were like Dazzle Dancers, got a group of 18. On a given night, we might have like 8. Depends on, because we're working for free, we're mostly working for drink tickets. Lo and behold, mostly we performed in queer spaces. And Taylor happened, and I started seeing Taylor more often. And Taylor back then was gluing weird stuff to his face, painting his face with like white tempera paint, like very like kind of like Butal, very mellow. Wearing literally practically like garbage or nothing, playing the ukulele, doing like cabaret type of performances in gay and queer spaces. And so there I was stripping, covered in body, covered in glitter, covered my body, covered in glitter. Ooh, I might have had too much wine. And then there was this person with stuff and like doing beautiful things, had a lot of interesting things to say. And we immediately clicked and we started collaborating and Taylor really is more of an organizer in terms of like throwing the party and organizing people to come. Me, I'm more like the person that gets invited. I've never been the instigator that way, but Taylor is, and I appreciate that. And so he started like throwing parties and inviting the Dazzle Dancers to do things. Throwing parties and then inviting me to do like just kind of spontaneous fashion shows, or what I called fashion shows, but I don't make fashion, I don't make products. I use the fashion show as a medium to tell a story. The model comes out, that's one part of the story. Anyway, and I don't know, we started collaborating, and the first big show we did was Lily's Revenge, which is also here. And then we did Walk Across America for Mother Earth, which was at La Mona. And then we did 24 Decades, A History of Popular Music. And even though I was supposed to do Gary, a big Broadway producer came in and swept it, and a bunch of Broadway veterans ended up doing that show. And the show closed 7 weeks early. And then, then we did the Hang, and we're working on an amazing show now called The Bark of Millions. And it's going to be amazing. And not only do I get to do the costumes, I'm part of the ensemble too. Like in the symphony ensemble too. But Bark of Millions coming next year. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to comment on the mix. I really enjoyed the mix.
Thanks. Okay, maybe I won't change a thing. Thanks.
I was seeing your hand while we were listening to the mix between like.
I was like, body language. Yeah.
That body language linked back to me in my head to the moment where you were speaking about taste and judgment.
Yeah. Oh yeah, my beats. I'm like, okay, it's going. I'm like, okay, it's okay.
It's like the harmony you feel with your own expression when you sing it, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm highly judgmental of myself. I think most artists are. It's not easy listening to yourself. Sing is very difficult. Watching a video is very difficult because I'm highly judgmental. It's like, why didn't I hold the note longer? I was weak there. I look horrible. I'm highly judgmental. It's like, how do I even have friends? I'm just judgmental of myself. And I've come a long way. I can listen to that in front of an audience and not like run into the other room and, actively kill myself. That's not a joke, but sorry, I laughed anyway. Joan Rivers said that, everything is laughable.
Someone else?
Can I ask a question? Did you do the background on the scene?
No, but I think the people
It sounds
that
like
did it are here. I didn't do it. No, they did it on my behalf. I think it's really great, isn't it?
No, I'm
That
sorry,
was great.
the background on your side.
Oh, the background on my song.
Yeah,
You mean, so
the last one.
the last one. So that was a title track, Treasure. Okay, so I am backed up. There's Viva on electric guitar, Bernice Boom Boom Brooks on the drums, Gordon Beeferman on the keys and on the synth, Mary Feaster on the bass, and then I have Jack Fuller and Carol Lipnick on the backup vocals. And I have to tell you something about our bass player, Mary Feaster. The very first show I ever saw in New York in 1994 was at CBGB's. And this is back, there was a very interesting individual. His name is Dean Johnson. He passed years ago at this point, but he had a band called the Velvet Mafia. He was taller than me, amazing, radically queer, and Mary Feaster was his bass player. This is 1994. And back then, like, it was like Dean, who's like shaved bald head, usually with sunglasses and some kind of a tight, amazing dress, often leopard print, and button earrings. Very, very cool, very amazing person. And the band, they always had like outfits. Like one of them was like a swimmer, and one of them was like a truck driver. Then one of them was a nun, and Mary was the nun. And years later, I'm working with Mary, the bass player, like from the very first show I ever saw at CBGB in 1994. I feel like the luckiest person to work with these amazing musicians. I'm lucky to say that most of all of my favorite performers and musicians and singers are people that I know, not people that I hear on the radio, people that I know. Not that those people that I know can't be on the radio. It's just that, you know, I'm here in my New York bubble and I just know so many incredible people. And I work with them and I make magic, and it's just, I don't know, I feel so lucky.
It's a great track.
Thanks.
I think we have time for one more. Sure.
That's about the code. They go to bed with Gilda, they wake up with me.
It was Rita Hayworth. Ah, God, as I settle in the geriatric decrepitude, I'm glad to get just half credit. Thank you. They go to sleep with Gilda and they wake up with me.
I'm into it.
Join me once again in thanking Machine Dazzle. How could you doubt me after as many years as
I
you've known?
could never doubt you, not in a million years, right, Mary? Right, Mary? Okay, this is the exit song. We're gonna play this one all the way through, right? Welcome to my sex life red light scenario. Mr. Fix has got some tricks to extend to my meat pickle. Listen up and listen to my little stuff. Baby, it'll help you out the next time you're on. Resources are valuable and just want to complete. You can spare a little crew. I will call our time. Welcome to my sex life.